Luke chapter 11, verses 33 through 36. Now, this has got to be, at least for me, one of the most confusing ways that Jesus taught and when he uses an illustration. And the reason for the confusion is that we are living in a different world in terms of how we understand lights and how we understand eyes. And as we go through this, I'll explain some of the historical pieces that influence Jesus's examples here. And from them, we'll be able to have maybe a better understanding of what's going on in this text. So let's begin. It begins like this. No one lights a lamp and puts it in a place where it will be hidden or under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand so that those who come in may see the light. Now, immediately you should be thinking back to Luke chapter 8, where Jesus also had an example of lighting and not hiding a light under a bowl or under a basket. But that was about kind of letting the gospel shine and illuminate through your life. That's not the context. We're not in Luke 8 anymore, but this example is the same one from Luke 8. So Jesus is using the same example, but in a different context. So let's remember that in Luke chapter 11, our context is those who seek signs, right? This is a wicked generation. And so the big issue in 11, and particularly this portion of 11, is unbelief. People choosing not to believe. I will not believe that Jesus is casting out demons by the power of heaven, but by the power of Satan, right? This is unbelief. So what Jesus is talking about here is the heart. And he's going to talk about wicked hearts. Now, this first one, let's look at it and make sure we're understanding it. And the first one, by the way, gets kind of the purpose and what light does. No one lights a lamp and puts it in a place where it will be hidden or under a bowl. Just emphatic statement, no one does this. Instead, right, when someone lights a lamp, they put it on its stand so that, right, what's the purpose of lighting a light? So that those who come in may see the light, right? And anything else that the light illuminates. But particularly the emphasis here is just seeing the light itself. So this first section is light is to be seen and illuminate. Okay, that's the first statement. It lines up with what we saw earlier in Luke 8, but then Jesus gives a second illustration. Your eye is the lamp of your body. Now, this is where we have to have an understanding of eyes in the first century. Plato, hundreds of years before this, famously says that light emanates from the eyes. They believed that your eye actually produced light that went out into the world and seized objects so that you could see what was out there. And they believed that blind people did not have this light that the eyes would produce. Now, Plato's disciple, Aristotle, said that his teacher was wrong. He said that light went into the eyes. Now, what's important to understand about that is we know that Aristotle was right today. We understand the eye as a window. That's what we would typically say. But most people didn't go with Aristotle. Most people went with Plato. And Plato's view was the dominant view of how eyeballs worked for until the scientific age. So when Jesus says your eye is the lamp of your body, let's understand the first thing is this is not a biological fact or statement. Some people try to make the Bible the proof text for scientific inquiry. And if you were doing that, you might side with Plato, right, here in how the eye works and say, well, that's what Jesus meant. Well, that's not what Jesus is saying. Jesus is using the standard way that people understand the eye, which is as an illuminating work. It's an invisible light that emanates from the eye that helps you see what's going on outside in the world. Now, Jesus is not talking about physical stuff here. He's talking about the spiritual. All of this is spiritual, right? Because the issue is unbelief. It's a wicked heart. So this is all spiritual discussion. But he's using an illustration that people would readily understand. Your eye is the lamp of your body. The eye illuminates life for the body. But what Jesus is going to do now is flip this. So where normally people would say the lamp goes out, this is a lamp going out into the world, Jesus is going to flip the analogy and go in. When your eyes are healthy, your whole body is also full of light. So the lamp usually goes out, but Jesus is going into the body. When your eyes are healthy, and this is like a if then, but it's a when. When your eyes are when your eyes are healthy, right? That they see, they have light, then your whole body is also full of light. Now, the other thing that we need to understand about the original context for these people is that when they say eyes are healthy, this is actually a Jewish expression. And what it meant was that if someone had a good eye, someone with a good eye gave money to the poor. Someone with a good eye helped those in need. Abraham is thought to have had a good eye. He took care of other people. And the evil man had evil eyes, right? Now, that means that for the Israelites, for the Jewish people, eyes were analogous to the heart. We would typically say, hey, that person's got a great heart. Look at how they treat others. They have a great heart. But the Jews would say they have a good eye. So when Jesus says your eye is healthy, he's saying what we would be thinking of is when your heart is healthy. All right. So now the eye is doing double duty. It's illuminating. It's seeing the world. It's a lamp, but it also is what creates a good heart. It also is what creates a good internal structure. And so if you have a good eye, you not only see the world well, but inwardly you are well, you are pure, you're righteous. That's what's going on here. Okay, so we have the first half of the example, but here's the second half of the example. But, right, now he's just going to say the opposite. When they are unhealthy, right? Now, we would typically think of blindness. Now the lamp's not working. But when they are unhealthy, then your body is full of darkness, right? And so your body can either be full of light, or it can be full of darkness. The thing about this example, though, is that normally in this example, we would think healthy eyes means that you can see, and unhealthy eyes means that you're blind. But Jesus, again, he's talking about spiritual things, he's talking about heart. So both of these people can see physically. But Jesus isn't talking about physical sight. He's using that analogy, right? But he's applying it spiritually. So he's saying you can have physical sight, but that your eyes are healthy, and then so you see righteously, but or your eyes could be unhealthy, and so inwardly you're dark, you're evil. You're unbelieving, right? There's the link. And so we get an instruction. See to it. This is the command. This is the application of this second illustration. See to it then that the light within you is not darkness. He's saying, just because you have an opinion, this is how we might say it today, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you're right. The Pharisees had opinions about Jesus. They thought that he was casting out demons by the power of Satan, by the power of the prince of demons. They were unhealthy in their eyes, and they thought that they were full of light. They had the Bible memorized, they had the scriptures memorized, but the truth was that they were full of darkness. So Jesus' instruction to the crowds is, you're looking for a sign. You're so stuck in your unbelief. You're looking for a sign. If that's you, if you're always looking for a sign, you need to do some introspection. You need to look inside and ask yourself, is the light within me actually darkness? You could think of it as, do I have sunglasses on? Is the whole world tinted evil because my eyes are unhealthy? So that's the second part of this, right? It's a spiritual analogy on healthy eyes to a healthy heart. Okay. Now what Jesus does at the end is that he combines these two analogies together. So, therefore, right? We've got analogy 1. That's number 1. We've got analogy 2, number 2. So, number 1 is nobody lights a light and hides it. They expose it. And then number 2 is you got healthy eyes, you're healthy inside. You got unhealthy eyes, you're unhealthy inside. So now he's going to combine them. Therefore, if your whole body is full of light and no part of it dark, boom. Now, what would we naturally build on this? This is an appeal to number 2, right? This is an appeal to number 2. And if your whole body is full of light, then you have healthy eyes. And if you have healthy eyes, then you have a healthy heart. Okay? The lamp in your life is good. So if your whole body is full of light and no part of it dark, meaning you've done the introspection, you've taken a look inside, you're like, yep, we're good to go here. It will be just as full of light as when a lamp shines its light into you. And that is an appeal to the first example up here about a light that is being shown. And if remembering this one, that the light here is Christ. Christ is our light. The gospel is our light. Jesus' point is, if your body is full of light, if your eye healthy, if your heart good, then it will be just as full of light. It'll be just as full as light as when the gospel, as when Jesus Christ shines his light and illuminates you. So when you have healthy eyes, the gospel just, boom, fills your life with light. It fills your heart with light. Christ, you see him and you're filled with light, and you're so full of his goodness, right? So this last one, healthy eyes alone see the glory of Christ. Why is this an important thing? Because again, Jesus is casting out demons, and some people are just so stuck in their unbelief. And then other people see Jesus as the Messiah, the Son of God. And when we, if you're thinking of the Pharisee in this story, the Pharisee thinks that they're full of light, but when they see Jesus, they hate him. And that's how we know they're full of darkness. Vice versa. If you're someone whose life is totally full of sin, you're all jacked up. But when you see Jesus, you see the Savior. You see the King of the universe. You see your Lord. Then keep gazing at him. Keep looking at him. May his light shine on you brightly so that your body would be just full of his goodness, full of his righteousness, full of his holiness. So that's what this really interesting example is about. It's hard for us to understand because we don't talk about eyes this way, but once you get a little bit of the historical information and you think about this in the broader context of what's going on, it starts to make a lot of sense. And it's just a sweet, sweet message for us all. What do? With this, we see to it that the light within us is not darkness, and we keep our eyes on the light that is shining on us. And we're also making sure that inwardly we're full of light and not dark. So there's this balance between introspection, and beholding the glory of Christ. We need both in our lives. And as you engage in both of those things, I hope that your life is all the more full for that practice. God bless.